right now, we're going to jump over to the United Kingdom because our second demonstration of the week is going to come from Martin Clarkson. Martin, are you set up and ready to rock?
I am, Eddie. What I've done tonight, because it's 2 o'clock in the morning, earlier on in the week, I put a quick video together. Because I don't have all the cameras and equipment like some of the other turners have, I thought we'll have a look and see if we can do something just on a mobile phone, just to try and get people involved. So I've put a demonstration together for you.
I'm all for that.
Well, it's about 28 minutes long. Right? If anybody's got any questions or anything, we can answer questions afterwards, or if you want to type them in the chat. But hopefully I should be able to just play it. And we just need to make sure that you've got sound, or will have sound.
And we've got multiple on, so you should be able to go.
Thanks for doing this too, Martin. Move it to
right. Is that better?
Yes.
And I've done it on my phone because I don't have the camera set up around the way like some of the other guys do. The reason I'm doing a demo is because I feel that, as Eddie always says, if we get ourselves involved in the club, we all want to learn from each other. The demo that I'm going to give is a very basic demo. I was asked a couple of weeks back to make some mice for a shop house that's going to start selling bags of flour. And she wanted some mice to sort of add into the shelves where the bags of flour are. Mice are not something that I've ever turned before. What I tend to do is if somebody asks me to turn something, if it is a tangible thing like an animal, I will look on the internet and I'll start studying shapes. You can look at the internet to see what everybody else has turned, but then you're going to produce something like everybody else. I tend to look at the animal and see if I can come up with something. And then if it's the same as everybody else's, or if I'm doing something along the same lines. But ultimately, it just gives you the opportunity to work your own things out. When it comes down to sizing things, everything that I put on the lathe, I cut to size. So I decide what sort of size I want it at the end, and I cut my blanks accordingly. That means that I'm not doing too much turning on the lathe, but ultimately it's quicker for me to produce and it's easier to size for me. So tonight's demo, we're just going to cover two mice, two ways of turning them. They are pretty much identical, but the blanks, as you can see, are smaller. This one's going to be sort of standing up. This one's going to be running along. This one will end up with a fridge magnet. So we'll start with a litmus first, with a fridge magnet. Now, on the fridge magnet, I already know that I want a flat on the bottom. I can turn it round and I can shape it, but ultimately it's easier for me to try and keep that flat on the bottom, and then I can sand it off accordingly. I can also get the most out of the timber. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mount this on the lathe and I'm going to put it just slightly off centre. Pull the tail stuck in a little bit. I want to put it just slightly off centre. Like that. Now then, before I start turning, I just want to go over safety points. I don't want to lecture on you should do this and you should do that. But ultimately, wood dust and lungs don't go together. So at least have some type of respirator or something or some way of removing some of the dust from your workshop. I have seen people turning in flip-flops. That's not a good idea because if something heavy does go off the lathe, like a tool, and it drops onto your phone, it's going to have a problem. And at the very least, have something to cover your eyes. On this demo, I'm just going to use my glasses, and I am not going to put a respirator on because you probably don't understand my English as we are. The last thing I need is to be. So we'll move on without the respirator. Because I've left the flat on the bottom, I've left it flat on the bottom, you can't touch it with your tool to see if it's round, because obviously it's not round, it's going to have a flap. What we need to do is stop the lathe just to make sure that the top is now curved. And as you can see, what we've got is a flap here and a nice curve at the top. So now we can start shaping them out. So I'm going to take another little cut off there because I still think it's a little bit big. So I'll just take a cut off. But predominantly, I've started shaping with my roughing gouge. Spindle roughing gouge is probably one of the quickest and easiest tools to use going from square. I could have started with a skew chisel. I just want to touch on my skew chisel because many people talk about skew chisels, and it seems to me that over the last couple of years, the skew chisel is the go-to tool to be mastered. And I have no problem with that, but when I started 7 years ago, the skew chisel was something that was to be avoided. Only wood turners open cans of paint with it. So it has moved forward and people do want to master it. And I certainly wanted to master it. So a couple of 3 years, 4 years ago, I bought myself a skew chisel. When I bought this skew chisel, and you buy them from any of the manufacturers, they all do exactly the same thing. They don't give you instructions. You don't buy a tool that says, use it this way. And often the tools are not sharpened the way that you might be able to be working with them. So I started using the skew chisel, and like many people, I was getting these beautiful spirals right the way across the work. And I couldn't really understand why. I kept sharpening my tool, and as I was sharpening it, I decided that I wanted more of an angle on it because I was never quite sure where the toe and the heel is. So by putting more of an angle on it, I could see which way was which. From then, when I started using it, I was still getting these spirals. And in my head, I decided that as I was cutting along the timber, the reason I was getting these spirals is because I was getting a catch on this top because I've got this point sticking up. And I figured that that's what was hitting the timber. And because nobody was there to tell me any different, it was only what I was thinking, I decided that by turning it over, that point would be down and I would be able to work with it. So that's how I started using the skew. And it was only when I went to a demonstration and I spoke to a man who was using a skew very prolifically. And he said to me, he said, Martin, that skew, you're trying to use the skew upside down. He said, it doesn't work like that. So he started to show me how the skew works with a point up. I now find that I don't even realise whether my point is up or down. What I do look for is which part am I using. And that really is the key. So for me, even when they say, I mean, I have mine very skewed now because this point is my best friend. And you will see as I'm turning, I use this point an awful lot. So I'm not one to teach you how to use the skew, but you will find your own way. And as long as it is safe, be careful, stay safe. That's all I say. So I'm going there with that point of that skew and drop it right down and then go right over into that corner, and that will come right over onto itself and then drop onto the other side. Or you're almost doing a straightening cut there, but you are removing the timber very quickly. I don't want to go too close to its nose there. make up that finishing cut. Around that corner. Put them in a little bit further, if you don't want too much standing off there. Let it part off. Put a little bit of sandpaper there somewhere.
If you're experiencing any difficulty understanding, Martin, you can turn your subtitles on.
What we're
By
looking
lot.
for is almost like an egg shape, little egg shape. We've lost our flat on the bottom, but that's not a problem. What we want to do now is just drill a small hole just near the point. See there, like that. And then with a pencil, just mark across the top. Line these up. If you've got a spindle lock, now is the time to use it. So just drill that small hole in there. And a small hole in that side. And the line is just to try and keep them clear. Right, we'll just sand that off a touch, get rid of the line. I'll do it with a little bit of sand and paper on there. And then you can apply any finish that you want to afterwards. Just wipe that off with a cloth, let it soak in a little bit. On these, I tend to stay the lacquer. So that's that one. I'll just go a little bit closer on the nose. Yep. And we'll pop that one aside. Now we'll drop onto the larger one. So this one wants to be centered because this one's not going to have a flap. And to center, you will notice I don't do the points. I just try to line myself up as close as possible. The center. And I give it a spin around to make sure it's lining up okay with my tool there. Straight in with a roughing gouge because there's no point in going in with anything else. And in with a screw, exactly the same as before. Tight as we can with that back. Got a smaller screw here. This is one of my favourite ones, this one. It's a round bar screw and it allows me to move it all over the place. shavings. Burn this out a little bit. Put your salmon seal on it. Put that a white one. That just helps. It stops the lacquer going into it afterwards. And then same again, what we want is a little hole at the bottom. Somewhere there. Pull it through. Couple of marks to make sure my ears aren't wonky. One here. And one here. And then we'll just go as close as we possibly can to this, and as close as we possibly can to the front, just to release. And take that off, like that, and that bit can stay on there. Right, I'm just going to pop the drive out and put a chuck on. Any chuck will do. The next part. The next part I made up a sanding pad. It's literally a piece of offcut of elm, this particular one is. And what I've done is I've cut various grooves in. And the various grooves means that whatever chuck I've got in relief, I should have a groove to fit it to make sure it's right. Stuck to it with super glue is a bit of Velcro, and then I buy these little round discs and put these little round discs on. And that now will go into the chuck. Just like that. And that creates me a little sanding pad. Turn my speed down a touch and just touch his bum up and his nose. And the other one, touch your nose up and his bum. And for this one, we're going to have to put the flap back on. So I'm just going to touch it on there and put the flap back on because he's a bit smaller than the flap on. That's it. So all I've done is put a little bit of a flap on there. Now, we'll go over to my bench. I want my drill. In the back here, I'm just going to put a small hole. Then the tail's going to go. And the same for this one. Where his tail's going to go. Now, this one's different. What I haven't done, I wanted to show you this one separately. So, first of all, we need rid of that. We need rid of the pencil line that's on there. If we don't want that. And the rubber would have been better to get rid of the pencil line than sandpaper. But I haven't got my rubber with me. We'll just take that like that. And now his nose is there, where his whiskers are going to go. And we're going to take the bottom So I'm going to stand in, and I'm going to take the bottom off at an angle. Like so. Just a touch more. Just so it'll stand up. That's it. Yeah. So this guy would get lacquered. He would get lacquered at this point before I put anything else onto him. Lift the side of the ears on this one. That's 6 mil. Right. Yeah. And now we're going to have a tail. Right, this is felt. Sometimes you can buy it's a leather, acrylic, whatever really you want. I prefer this, and it's felt. It's just well, they're just sheets of like a fibrous material. And what I do is I use a ring cutter that I push down and I hit it with a hammer, and it cuts these little circles out from it. Is what I've done with that. So I've cut myself some little felt circles. The larger ones are for the larger one, and then I've taken the same size ones and I've just cut them down slightly as the smaller ones. This is a little pot that I bought off Amazon with a metal rod that feeds in, and I've filled this with PVA glue. A lot of people use super glue. I found with the super glue it was coming back out the hole and it was making a bit of a mess. So I prefer my way, and this is using a wood glue, but it does mean that you're going to have to leave them set a little bit longer. So I put some glue in the hole, and then just lay the circle and use the end to push it in, and it creates an ear. It just turns itself into what is an ear form. So that's that. This is standard fishing wire. And all I do with this is kind of make it into a bit of a loopy sort of thing. Like that. That will drop. Take the one in. And thread that through there. I've got a bit of fishing wire at each end, and then again I use my little bit of glue pot and I screw it into there until it just comes out, and then I chop the twisters off at an angle. Like so. This is a bit of it's actually cord. You should be able to buy all of these things in somewhere like Walmart fairly cheaply. As you can see, it's synthetic. It's, you know, it burns and just melts together very easily. And all I'm going to do is again put that into that little hole at the back. Use my little glue tube. Use it into the hole until it comes out. And chop it off at the length I want. And then I always again turn it to stop it fraying. And that's that one done. Exactly the same procedure with the smaller one. Obviously, it's a little bit more fiddly. Oops. In fact, is my hole too thin? No, my hole's not too thin. So yeah. This is a very small hole. This is about 3 mil. Plug them into there at the end. And this one, and just set your ears up so they're about the same at each side. And again, you can have as much or as little fishing wire as you want. I sometimes put 3, sometimes 4. Sometimes I fold it over and there's 4 on one side and 3 on the other. I don't think my customers would notice. I'm not sure if I would notice. Yeah. Like I say, it doesn't matter how long they are to start with, because you can chop them off. And then you're going to have a little bit of cord in the back of that. And with this one, all that I would do is I would drill a small hole in the bottom and I would put a magnet into there. And the ones I use are earth magnets, and they are 2 seconds.
Those are brilliant.
They're these ones, and you can buy them at different sizes. So these are about 5 or 6 mil. So you can drill a 5 or 6 mil hole into the base of the mouse and just mount that straight in, because they work really well just at the ends. So you can push that into there and then just fix that. So there you are. That's demo over and done with, and my bit finished with. First and last demo, probably. Hopefully you've enjoyed it, and well, to make mine great. And if I've inspired you to look at the design and come up with something different, please come back onto the meeting and show us. But in the meantime,
Adorable.
stay with me.
Adorable.
Very good, Martin. Thank you.
Yeah, they're
Martin.
adorable. I love it.
Martin
Great
was on to
job.
share screen
Thanks.
because he videotaped this.
Great job, Martin.
Excellent
Thank you,
job.
Martin.
Brilliant.
Really
Lot of
great. I
fun.
like that.
Thanks, guys.
Good.
If anybody's got any questions, because I couldn't see the chat, but it was a lot easier for me to do a quick video like that to try and get across. And it does show you that you can, in your workshop, just use your phone, get some help from the wife, or in this case it was my daughter that helped me do a bit of videoing. And we did come up. You saw the mistakes during the video because I don't edit it. I just managed to put it straight on. So come forward and get some demos registered for the group.
Thank you, Martin.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thanks
Nice
for
job,
watching.
Martin. Nice job,
Excellent.
Martin. I bet Tuesday off it's not live.
Hey, Michael, when are we signing you up?
Uh-oh, did Michael say something?
Not
Yeah,
Michael will have run.
yeah. And I'm gonna hit him up and do a box, threaded
Yeah.
box.
Okay.
That's the one.
Yeah.
I'm only the manager. I don't do demos.
Oh, yeah,
I
there's
only
always a
do
first
extras
time.
for money.
That's what Martin said.
Hey,
That's
Mike,
right,
it
Martin, that's right.
increases your pay.
That was
Martin,
excellent.
Martin, when you said it was off center, was it off center on both sides or just one
So it's
side?
off centre on both sides to leave you the flat at the bottom. And you'll have noticed that I was purposely leaving the flat, but halfway through that design, I felt it needed to be smaller. So I lost that flat. So the purpose of creating it disappeared, but you did see both ways of being able to create it. If something has a flat, I like to try and leave a flat because you'll get the best of the timber. But yeah, offset both sides, just slightly off center will leave you a flat on the base.
Thank
What
you.
size blank did you start with?
What size blank? 1 3/4 inch. I will have it written down because whenever I'm doing something, and it's one of the things that I always say to people, when you're doing something and you make something, write the size of your blank down, because if it ends up too big or it ends up too small, you know where you started. So it was 1 3/4 on the large one, and it was inch on the smaller one. But the inch I thought was still just that bit too big, which is why I took another cut off it.
What finish did you put on that?
Black.
And I would use lacquer. I would finish them with lacquer before I started adding any of the extras. I didn't in this case. What I did was put some sand and sealer on and then went straight into adding the ears just for the demo purposes.
And what did you use for the tail?
That's a bit of, actually, it's pull cord, light pull cord. You can buy it in various colors, and I buy it in black or brown. The same as the felt. You can buy the felt in numerous colors, but again, if you buy it in black or brown, then you can have your ears to match your tail. Fishing wire, I've got no idea what size it is. It was the only one that I found on the shelf and thought that would do.
Well, you're picky.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah,
Whatever turns up.
that's right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Martin. That was excellent, folks. Excellent demonstration from one of our members. It could be you. You see, Martin had the shot on his iPhone, and he had his daughter do it. If you don't have a daughter, check with your granddaughter. They can all work it out. And we appreciate the input from the United Kingdom, part of Worldwide Woodturners